welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, hanging out here in the Heritage Hill Studios. We appreciate your patience this morning. Heritage Hill in Pompey at the Brew House. You'll find them on Sweet Road in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. And you'll find Heritage Hill North, Heritage Hill's newest location, at 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York, right there at Sweetheart Corners, and our exclusive home of our CNS North Stars monthly broadcasts, which will continue tomorrow night, Thursday, May 23rd at 6 p.m. when we welcome for the first time ever the CNS North Stars girls flag football team celebrating their historic first season of existence. Very excited to have head coach Steve Marizio as well as the student athletes on site with us, and hopefully the families too. With that being said, inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', we're going to start off today's broadcast by bringing you my thoughts on what's going on in the NCAA. I made a prediction a long time ago about the NCAA's future, and we will discuss that in just a few moments as the NCAA continues to change. So we'll start things off here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're with the NCAA changing, I don't even know if you want to call it evolving, but it's changing. We'll discuss that. We'll also take some time here today with a double dose of the Dolphin Dive. Say that 10 times fast. Double dose of the Dolphin Dive starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Typically, we have Dolphin time at 9 a.m., but due to scheduling, we had to move some things around to make sure that we were able to get on these wonderful guests that we have in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the LeMoyne College Dolphins. Our Dolphin Dive is a twofer today, starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as we welcome Dewey Roden of the LeMoyne Dolphins baseball team, as they are in year one of their return as a team to D1, but obviously first experience for these gentlemen in Division I play. So we'll speak with Dewey Roden at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and then at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, bringing us in hour number 2, we'll be speaking with the head softball coach of the LeMoyne College Dolphins, that being Tracey Roman. Both of these guests are no stranger to the show, and I can't wait to have them back. So with that being said, let's jump into the conversation here, as I proudly remind you and thank you that you are with us here on all of our outlets on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora that are live. YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT and on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT. You're watching and listening live worldwide. You're also with us on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com, and we appreciate you for listening there on our worldwide radio opportunity. So, with all of that being said, I appreciate you, I thank you, and let's get into the conversation. The NCAA, as you know, is going through a lot right now, right? A little bit of an identity crisis. And in this identity crisis, the NCAA is in a place where, once again, when we talk about my thoughts of what could happen, the NCAA has put themselves in a position where their future is not very clear. Now, do I believe that student athletes should have an opportunity to make money on their name, image, and likeness? Yes, because most student athletes will play college sports, and then, due to not having enough opportunities in America, not wanting to go overseas, or simply just not being in a very tiny percentile that makes it to the pros, they will be doing something else with their lives after they play. So their time to make money is during their time in college. So do I believe that they should have an opportunity and a pathway for that? Of course I do. Because if they don't, then how are they supposed to make anything off of the sport that they're playing? Now, should it be all about the money? No, nothing ever should be. Anything that's all about the money, eventually, ends badly. But as I sit here with you today and I look at what the NCAA is becoming, I am consistently disappointed in an organization that doesn't seem to understand who it is, where it's going, or why it is. I have covered many an NCAA opportunity, and I appreciate the NCAA for being a body that was created years ago that provided the opportunity for student athletes to really experience college in a unique way, and for students to experience it in a unique way as well, and teachers and faculty and families and alumni. But in a world of name, image, and likeness, in a world of the transfer portal, in a world of realignment that makes no geographical sense and only seems to be hurting Olympic sports while taking care of football and probably basketball, we're in a place right now where I said 6 years ago, I made a prediction. I said, if the NCAA continues to do what they're doing, in the next 5 to 10 years, which we're already at that point, I said in the next 5 to 10 years, the NCAA will either look drastically different than how we remember it, if it exists at all. It'll either be different or it won't exist. And 6 years after I made that prediction of the next 5 to 10 years from now, here we are 6 years from that conversation, 6 years from that prediction, and the NCAA looks different, and I still sit here wondering how it's existing in a place where there seems to be often no control, micromanaging in some areas, and no managing in others. So why am I talking about this morning? Well, thank you for asking. Because we're in a situation where the NCAA is going up against conferences in what could establish a framework for schools to share millions of dollars with their athletes in the future and create a fund of more than $2.7 billion to pay former athletes who are not allowed to sign name, image, and likeness deals. There's little resistance on the conference level, and the NCAA is expected to pass the settlement measure. The Pac-12 will vote as a full 12-team league as currently constructed, as it was when the House versus the NCAA case was filed. Now, these sources that are out there, I always say alleged, because they're not mine. I'm just reading some of the stuff here. Big 12 presidents and chancellors, allegedly, were briefed in recent days on a 13-page term sheet that contains the settlement language. The key parts of the settlement include the NCAA paying for more than $2.7 billion in back damages over a decade, about $1.6 billion of which will be withheld from schools. There's also $20 million, roughly, in permissive revenue sharing that's expected to begin in fall 2025. This revenue sharing will give athletic departments the direct ability to pay the players, a massive paradigm shift for collegiate athletics. The point of the schools settling is to avoid even bigger damages down the road, which legal experts consider a likelihood considering the NCAA's poor record in court cases. Now, who's been a part of this? Well, the ACC joined the Big 12 recently here as the second named party in the House versus the NCAA to vote to settle the case and related antitrust cases. With those votes formalized, a path is underway to forge a new era in college sports. There will be 4 more votes this week, 3 more from the Power 5 leagues, and 1 from the NCAA Board of Governors. The ACC presidents voted in person in Charlotte at their meetings yesterday evening. Big 12 presidents and chancellors voted virtually Tuesday afternoon to unanimously approve, with departing members Texas and Oklahoma abstaining. The 12 continuing members from this year's conference all voted to pass. So, Go into another piece of this. On campuses, school officials are meeting and scrambling to figure out how to adjust the new paradigms. Schools in bigger leagues need to find nearly $20 million to budget for athletes and figure out how to divide it. Smaller leagues are adjusting on how to cover costs as the NCAA is withholding varying money from schools in all levels of Division I to cover the cost. There's no clarity on Title IX's role in revenue sharing, how roster caps will work, and what enforcement of NIL will look like. Despite the revenue sharing, NIL is expected to continue. It will be allegedly at least 6 months until details are worked out, maybe longer. There's also expected to be several steps before Senior District Judge Claudia Wilkin can approve the settlement. All Division I athletes have the opportunity to object to the terms or opt out of the class. Wilkin also needs to hold a preliminary hearing to review the terms of the settlement, and then will need to consider any arguments presented against it before formally ruling on the settlement. This all projects to take months to unfold. There's also expected to be continued asks to Congress to work toward more narrow exemptions from future lawsuits. The industry belief has been that Congress could be more willing to help college sports as opposed to saving it. Now that there's a structure moving forward that includes revenue distribution to the players, the lawyers in the House case and two other related cases, Hubbard versus NCAA and Carter versus NCAA, are veteran antitrust lawyers Jeffrey Kessler and Steve Berman. Kessler has been at the forefront of sports labor movement for several decades, including the O'Bannon versus NCAA case in 2014. Berman's also been involved in several antitrust cases against the NCAA, including the Alston case that Supreme Court upheld in 2021. So, and I want to thank ESPN for all the background on this and the work of Pete Thamel, because I believe people deserve credit where credit's due, despite the fact that that doesn't always happen. So, what does this all mean? It means the NCAA, again, is in trouble. It means that schools are going to have to find money, and now we will actually see what it looks like to me, the paying of student athletes. The actual giving of money to student athletes from the schools, which is going to cause more strain on schools that are already strained. We've seen schools close. We've seen multiple schools close here in New York State. Cazenovia, College of St. Rose. So, we're in a place right now where the world of collegiate athletics is getting very confusing and it's getting very murky. I predicted that we would be in a place like this, but I never knew it would be this bad. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and we'll be back with Dewey Roden right after this from the Heritage Hill Studios.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. Hanging out with you, of course, from inside of the amazing and very comfortable Heritage Hill Studios. You'll find Heritage Hill by going out to Pompey to Sweet Road in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York to hang out at the Brew House. And you'll also find them at their newest location, Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York, where we will be tomorrow night. Very excited for that. The opportunity to hang out with the CNS North Stars girls flag football team in their first ever season of existence. Very much looking forward to seeing you all out there this Thursday, May 23rd at 6 p.m., where we feature the CNS North Stars girls flag football team on site at Heritage Hill North, our exclusive studio partner. So, as we await the opportunity to have Dewey Roden here on the broadcast, we're going to continue the conversation here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora of some other things going on here in the sports world. And one of them is the conversation on Justin Fields. Now, Justin Fields was the second overall pick. Justin Fields came into the league, when he came into the league and became a Chicago Bear, that's all he's ever known. Now, he was actually 11th. I don't know why I thought he was 7th. That's how I remember it. You know what it is? It's because Trevor Lawrence was first, and there was the conversation that Justin Fields could be another choice. So Zach Wilson was after Trevor Lawrence. Justin Fields was 11th. That's so weird to me, though, because when I think about it, in the 2021 NFL Draft, I don't think about Justin Fields outside of the top 10. So my fault on that. But when Chicago told him that he was going to be going elsewhere, and by the way, it was a conditional 6th-round pick, which could work out for Chicago, right? Compensatory pick in the 6th round for the New England Patriots worked out with Tom Brady. So Fields said, quote, "We were in the same situation last year with having the number 1 pick, and it was just a little bit different this year. I'm not naive to the fact that I can read body language and stuff like that. It wasn't really just a shock to where it's like, oh, I got traded. I knew it was going to happen beforehand. So I'm just glad I got traded to the spot that I wanted to be at," end quote. He said it was a relief to know the destination. And now Justin Fields is going to be going up against Russell Wilson for the opportunity to lead this Steelers team. And I want to put up this poll on Facebook, or on X, because Facebook doesn't allow you to put polls up on your pages, which makes no sense to me, and I would love it if they would do that. But on X, we could put this poll up. Who do you believe? And you can feel free to respond here on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt to our live feed, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt to our live feed, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com's live internet radio chat room. Or you can go on X @calldt, follow me there and respond to it there. Who do you believe will be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers by the end of the 2024-25 season? So by the end of this upcoming season, who do you think it would be? Not who starts, not who's the first one out of the gate. Who do you believe will be the starter by the end of the season? Your choices are Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, or someone else. So by the end of this season, who's going to be the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I want to get your thoughts. And that's going up right now instantaneously. So you could feel free to vote. I'm just making sure we got everything put in here. And I'm going to send it out to you right now. But you can vote in our live feeds and just respond to the feed that you're watching right now or the feed that you're listening to, and let me know who you think is going to be the signal caller by the end of the season. Who will be the starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers by the end of the 2024-25 season? Will it be Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, or someone else? For me right now, where I'm sitting in the Heritage Hill Studios, as I said, very comfortable. But from where I'm sitting figuratively, I believe more in Justin Fields than Russell Wilson being the starting quarterback, barring any injury, and hopefully neither one of them have it, barring any injury, that we're going to see Justin Fields. Between the two of them, Justin Fields I'd lean on at the end of the season more than Russ the Bus. And I hope them both the best. But it could be somebody else. Could be another player that's out there. Could be another quarterback that's out there. But I would feel more apt to say Justin Fields than to say that we'd see Russell Wilson by the end of the season as the starting quarterback. Speaking of moves, but I want you to vote. So go ahead and vote right now. You're already starting to vote. The early voting is for Justin Fields to be the quarterback by the end of the season. So some agreement there with me early on, and I'll continue to monitor that poll on X. You could vote on all of our polls on X by going to the former Twitter, which is now called X, @CallDT, CALLDT. Follow me there. Make sure you click follow, and then get on to voting. The 49ers and Brandon Ayuk are in a place where this is a little bit dicey. Now, he's the second wide receiver that seems to have, in these last few years, a back and forth with the Niners that's not as copacetic as we want it to be, right? Deebo Samuel had his moments, and now Brandon Ayuk seems to be having his. They're without him during voluntary portion of the offseason program. Now, Brandon Ayuk is somebody that you would anticipate they're going to bring in. And, keep, I would say, for the long term. He is away from organized team activities, a.k.a. OTAs, which we know them as his representatives work on a new deal with the team. After Tuesday's OTA, the organized team activity, 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan remained unfazed by Ayuk's absence when asked about him. He said, quote, "I feel the same as I do about all these guys that aren't here. I mean, I wish they were here, but it's something that's part of the business. Anytime it's the business part, you try to respect it, stay out of it as much as possible. I look forward to the days when we just focus on football," end quote. Now, looking at this, tight end George Kittle, linebacker Fred Warner, wideout Deebo Samuel Sr., and defensive end Nick Bosa have all signed their deals in the off seasons here. And everything's worked out for the Niners, right? Any back and forth that we have seen has seemingly worked out. Now, the start of training camp comes in late July, and the regular season will start in early September. And each of the previous deals came together with varying degrees of tension. And, of course, Deebo Samuel, at one point in the 2022 offseason, Samuel requested a trade. And though the Niners listened to offers during that year's NFL draft, Deebo Samuel didn't go anywhere. Now, the discussions surrounding Brandon Ayuk have not reached those levels, despite speculation that he wanted to be traded following some cryptic social media posts. But Ayuk hasn't been a stranger at the team's facility this offseason, reached out to Shanahan and general manager John Lynch to compliment them on selecting receiver Ricky Pearsall, who played with Ayuk briefly at Arizona State before he went on to be a Florida Gator. And Ricky Pearsall was the number 31 overall pick this year. Now, Lynch and Shanahan acknowledged they would listen to trade offers for anyone, but they never planned to trade, allegedly, either receiver Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel Sr. until they received an offer that was too good to refuse. So, We shall see. Now, Brock Purdy, their quarterback, said, quote, the draft is going on, and obviously you're excited to get guys that you're drafting. But at the same time, it's like, dang, dude, we could have some kind of trade stuff happen. But like I said, all that's out of my control. I was sort of just sitting there waiting to see what our team was going to do and everything, and my job was to show up and rip it to the open guy and try to win games. So that's my mindset with it. But I do love my boys, and I obviously hope that we can all continue to play together, end quote. Brandon Ayuk is going into the final year of his rookie contract, and he is looking to count this year $14.124 million against the salary cap. He's coming off of a season where he had 75 catches, 1,342 yards, 7 touchdowns, and got him on as an all-pro for the second team. Bosa, who is attending this year's OTAs after missing the past few because of COVID-19, a knee injury, and a contract-related holdout, said that he's been in touch with Brandon Ayuk and is available as a resource should his teammate need him. We chat a little bit, but not too much about the details. I just told him keep his head up and try and stay positive through it all, end quote. So, again, this is a Niners team that in recent history has made it to multiple Super Bowls. They've been defeated both times by the Kansas City Chiefs, but they do have a lot of talent. And Brandon Ayuk being a part of that talent, looking to figure things out. So hopefully things will work out and they'll figure it out. I know that a few days ago here in the studios, we did a bonus broadcast on Saturday with Anthony Campbell of GG Cards and Breaks, one of our proud partners on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, my sports card and trading card shop of choice, very much so. And he's a big Niners fan, and we were talking about the Niners and the Niners' upcoming season, and having Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel Sr., Ricky Pearsall coming in, George Kittle, who hasn't been as high as maybe the hype was a few years ago, but he, obviously he's on the team and he's still a threat out there. And you have CMC, Christian McCaffrey, and Brock Purdy, Mr. Very Relevant, is your quarterback. And then defensively, Nick Bosa and the crew handle their business. And last year went into the season regarded as the number one defense to select in fantasy football. And, to me, this Niners team is a threat. They're a threat to the Packers. They're a threat to the Cowboys. They're a threat to the Eagles. They're a threat to the Bucks. They're a threat to, anybody on that NFC side. And the Achilles heel has been the Kansas City Chiefs. But if they can bring back Brandon Ayuk and they bring in Ricky Pearsall, there's an opportunity for this team to really potentially become even better. It's very hard to beat Kansas City. Kansas City's in a world right now where they are resembling the New England Patriots. And what I mean by that is that they're in this world where no matter how close you get to beating them, they're always finding out a way to do it. And it could just be mentally. It could just be teams sitting here going, well, we almost got them, but it's the big bad wolf, right? It's the big bad wolf. And we see that in sports all the time, is that as close as you get to defeating a powerhouse team, sometimes it seems to oftentimes it seems to always go in the way of that powerhouse team. When we're talking about the Patriots and now the Chiefs, almost like you get in your head about it. Like, we're almost there. We almost got them. But here we are. Now, keeping with receivers, and speaking of the Chiefs, and somebody that I, whose team I covered in college, speaking of SMU, and their former wide receiver, their alum, and who is a Kansas City Chief now, Rashee Rice, a little update on what's going on with him. The injured person in an alleged May 6th assault at a Dallas nightclub, in which Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Rashee Rice is reportedly a suspect, has asked the police not to file charges. According to the Dallas police, asked by email about the status of the investigation, Dallas police responded by saying, quote, the reporting party has signed an affidavit of non-prosecution. The investigation is ongoing, end quote. Dallas police have said that officers responded to a report of an assault at a Dallas nightclub around 2:30 in the morning on May 6th of this year. Charges have not been filed in the case. The Dallas Morning News reported that Rice is a suspect. A man was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, including swelling on one side of his face, which is what was reported by the Morning News. Rice is working with the Chiefs this week as they begin their off-season practices. He was arrested last month for his involvement in a March 30th six-car crash in Dallas that left at least 7 people injured. Police said Rice was traveling at 119 miles per hour shortly, which is what Tyreek Hill does just with his feet. But Rashee Rice said he was traveling at police said, that Rice was traveling at 119 miles per hour shortly before the crash. He's facing 1 count of aggravated assault, 1 count of collision involving serious bodily injury, and 6 counts of collision involving injury, according to police. So Rashee Rice, in the last couple months here, has been involved in less than 2 months' time, I should say, has been involved in multiple issues that have gone down. So the unfortunate about all of this is that there were people injured and people affected. That is a great unfortunate. And I don't like hearing this stuff. And it makes me sad. Above everything, the protection of every human life is important to me. And if Rashee Rice doesn't get charged in this Dallas nightclub assault, he still has to deal with this other stuff that's going on. And 2 issues happening in Dallas, which is right, where SMU is, right? They use the D for Dallas in their logo now and all of that. I mean, Rashee Rice, and I've said it before about some players that are out there, is that when they don't have NFL going on, when they don't have the season, when they don't have the contact on the field, some of these guys get stir crazy. We saw it with Adam Pac-Man Jones, and Rashee Rice seems to be potentially falling into this same place of he has nothing to do, and so, he's out there speeding, involved in a crash, and then involved in a nightclub assault. And really what it comes down to is Rashee figuring out what he's doing, why he's doing it, getting somebody around him, some type of therapist or psychiatrist to talk him through this and to prevent any other issues from continuing. And then also looking at the bigger picture of the fact that this man has an opportunity that so few get. And there's thousands upon thousands, maybe tens of thousands of wide receivers that wish they had the opportunity that Rashee Rice has. And he seems to be peeing that away, so to speak. And he hasn't been in the league that long. I mean, this guy is a national champion. He's a Super Bowl champion. No matter what he does for the rest of his career, he has a ring. But what he does for the rest of his life has consequences. And no matter how big you think you are, how much money you think you have, or where the prowess is, or where the level is that you think you have power, the law is the law. And Rashee Rice is in a dicey place right now. And I pray that for his sake, he figures out why he's doing what he's doing. Nobody else gets injured, hurt, or gosh forbid, dies amidst any of this stuff, including him. And that we can get to the bottom of this stuff. Because we should be talking about a team celebrating a championship going into the next season. Yet the Kansas City Chiefs are marred by the fact that their young wide receiver can't seem to keep himself out of trouble right now. And so oftentimes we just throw that person in the trash, right? That person got in trouble. What a jerk. Who cares? Next guy. And you can't do that. You can't throw people out in society. God doesn't do that. I don't do that. So not only do I hope that everyone involved is okay, but I hope that Rashee Rice is okay as well. And I hope that this is all figured out for the betterment of everybody, because it's not about catching touchdown passes. It's about protecting the sanctity of everyone's life. And right now, it seems like there's some things going on that need to be sorted out. And I hope that they are. because I don't like to hear this stuff. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, an all-new Dolphin Dive comes your way with someone who is no stranger to the broadcast. Miss Tracey Roman will be joining me here, LeMoyne Dolphins head softball coach. Year one in D1, and a team that in the spring semester just got a 3.57 GPA? Excuse me? That is the student and student athlete. We'll talk about that right after this from the Heritage Hill Studios. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. And welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and I am honored and privileged, of course, here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios to be with you. Heritage Hill in Pompey. You'll find the brew house in the rolling hills of central and upstate New York. And you will find their newest location at 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York, where we will be featuring this Thursday, May 23rd at 6 p.m., a live on-site broadcast with the school from right down the road, CNS North Stars girls flag football team in their first season of existence. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, you know that in year 3 I am more than proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner with the LeMoyne College Dolphins here with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. And in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, I have the pleasure of bringing you conversations with the wonderful people here in our community, including Miss Tracey Roman, who joins me here this morning as we bring her in picture and have the opportunity to speak with Tracey of LeMoyne softball, their head coach here in year one in D1. Miss Roman, how are you?
I'm well, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing very well. With you here and to have this conversation on this season and just what we've seen this season and, you know, your take on being here in Division One, just what it's been like kind of big picture to go through this move.
Big picture vision, it really wasn't much different for our sport, to be completely frank. I mean, yeah, the competition we played obviously had greater depth in pitching staff. I think we saw hitters 1 through 9 in the lineup were definitely tougher than what you might see all the way through Division II. But the schedule was just as grueling as Division II. If anything, we had more home games. I think we had 17 home games, which is just unheard of. It was unheard of at the Division II level, at least, just because we weren't near anybody close enough to play a day contest. So that aspect of it was really nice, just being home a little bit more. But no, it was very comparable to what we've been doing, and so it was business as usual for us, Dan.
You know, and like you said, you know, business as usual. You've tested this team, and I've spoken with your student athletes about this, is you have put them in places, you know, at the beginning of the season for softball. Obviously, we're here up in central New York. It's cold. Sometimes it's snowing. The weather isn't as great for the spring sports right off the jump. And so you're used to going on the road. You're used to going to warmer climates and challenging your team. And, you know, last season we sat right there in your office on the couch and spoke about the level of competition that you were putting the team up against. And then this year, that level of competition continuing. So when you say for you, you didn't really feel that move to D1 as much, I can understand that from the way that you schedule and from what you've already asked of your student athletes. How much does that kind of play into it, the fact that you had put so much on them and asked so much of them and didn't treat them like Division II athletes? You treated them like top-tier students, top-tier athletes, and because of what you did scheduling-wise in the past up to last season, that, you know, it didn't feel as different, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so much of the reason we were able to have some degree of success this year is I try to recruit the most competitive kids that I can find. And I think those kids are going to compete no matter what level of play, whether it's Division I, II, III, whether it's a game of checkers, whether it's a game of corn bag. Like, these kids love to compete. So, yeah, I think it helped that, you know, we had always played the local neighboring Division I teams in the fall. So it wasn't like we were in awe. If anything, the kids were really excited about the challenge and really excited to have the opportunity to measure themselves against some of the, you know, the top talent in the country.
Yeah, and when you have that opportunity to go out there and to go up against some of this top talent in the nation, I know that there were so many games played, and we'll get into, you know, deeper and deeper into the schedule as we go here in this edition of Dolphin Dive with Tracey Roman. But for you, is there a moment or two that really stood out to you? Either a time where you thought that the team really started to come together, started to gel, started to find their place, or just a proud moment as the coach of this team? I know there's so many moments you can pick out of excitement and pride, but is there anything this specific season here in 2024 that just really is top of mind for you that you reflect on more often than maybe some other moments?
I don't think there was one specific moment. One thing I can say about our team here is they don't quit. And I think anybody who has watched us play, it doesn't matter if we were winning, it doesn't matter, because there were some games that certainly got away from us. It didn't matter if we were losing 10-3. You couldn't tell the difference in the way our kids were out on the field. I think they held great poise. I think they gave us an opportunity to come back in every game we were in. But you certainly never would have gotten the sense that we were getting beaten badly in games that we did get beat badly. And that's what's important. That's what mental toughness is all about. You got to be able to carry yourself the same way, whether you're winning 10-0 or whether you're losing 10-0. And I think that's a great life skill. But I think our kids did an exceptional job of that all year, and just the resiliency they showed, because it's not easy to do with the number of games that we play. A lot of times, we don't get basketball crowds, particularly on the road, when you're not as well traveled. So you kind of have to create your own atmosphere, and bring your own energy and excitement to the game all the time. And I think our team did a great job of that.
Yeah, and like you said, bringing that excitement. How did they do that? How did you see, this team just really create being on the road, but not necessarily always feeling like they're on the road? How did you see them keep that atmosphere strong and positive?
I think we talked a lot about being grateful for the opportunities that we had. And we consistently talk about, like, no matter how hard it gets, no matter what our travel schedule is like, no matter how upset we might feel like our professors are with us at times, we are so grateful and lucky to be able to do what we do, because it's a very select number of people overall that get to be on any college roster. So I think the team is really good at picking each other up. Because you certainly have people who wax and wane with that as the season goes through some of those tough spots. But I just think these are truly 24 athletes who love to play the game of softball and are really taking advantage of being present in this moment right now and doing the best they can, understanding it doesn't last forever. So I'm really, really proud of the team for their ability to stay focused and be present, no matter what was going on, no matter what our record said, no matter what happened the game before. They did a really, really good job.
Yeah, and I think the most important thing for me in discussing all of this is not necessarily, that win and loss record is not the thing that I ever look to the most. The thing that I look to when it comes to this team or any team is the quality of the team and how this team kind of works together and how they grow and really focus on the things that are most important. And I mentioned it going into the conversation, which is the classroom. 3.57 GPA as a team out of 4, as we, look at where things are in the grand scheme of things. For you, just okay, if the team's GPA is maybe here, maybe it's going to be a little bit lower if we see the team, move forward into a situation of being in the season. When they're out of season, maybe they're not. Maybe they're performing better out of season in the classroom, but once they're in practice and they're in games and they're focused and all this stuff, maybe the GPA goes down. We're seeing a 3.57 spring semester GPA. And it was an incredible testament to the student and student athlete, to the message of LeMoyne and who LeMoyne says they are, and actually following that through. So before we break down anything within the season and the gameplay, I want to really take a moment here to honor your student athletes for putting together a terrific in the classroom season of 3.57.
Yeah, you asked me what am I, what some of my prouder moments of the season were, and I got to be honest. This past Monday, checking out their grades. Yeah, you asked me the best moments as a coach for this particular season, because it's not easy. It's not easy what they juggle. It's not easy what they do. And I wish I could stand here, not that I wish, but like I'd love to stand here and tell you that, I'm harping on them all the time and I'm all over them, but I'm really not. These are very academically driven student athletes, and they understand, they have big picture vision, and they understand that softball will come to an end someday, and that what they're doing in the classroom is really going to be impactful on their futures. So if anything, there are times where we get home late, or not home, but we get to our hotel at 11:30 at night, and I'm kicking kids out of the lobby who are still trying to be up and studying. They're that committed. So as a coach, you don't really know what to expect. We've always had a pretty good GPA. We're always right around 3.3, 3.4, but to get over that 3.5 mark in our first Division I season, where we played more games than I've ever played here. Just we happen to get a lot of games in. I couldn't be more pleased with this group and excited for them because I know how hard they worked on that.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, having to kick them out of, just being out there studying in a hotel. I mean, that's not something that every coach has a problem of, Tracey. Not everybody has to kick, sometimes they got to go find their student athletes and see what they're doing and keep them out of trouble. But in your case, like you said, you're like, I have to tell them, get out of the lobby. I know you want to study, but we got to go to bed and got to take care of this. What's it like for you to have these 24 student athletes where they want to stay up to do the right thing? Because I think that that's something that needs to be in the spotlight more so, especially in today's world of NIL and transfer portal and all of these, things going on that are affecting collegiate athletics and really not speaking about academia at all. The fact that you have a team that wants to study, wants to perform, and wants to make sure that they get an education.
I think we're still dealing with a group of student athletes and just human beings who, again, survived and lived through COVID, and they understand how quickly something can be taken away from them. And having sport taken away at one point, they understand that it's not forever. But, it's really exciting to see some of the victories that people don't always understand. It's like you have kids that might come in their freshman year and struggle to get to a 3.0 or be a 2.5 student. What's exciting as a coach to see is how they grow as a student, learning to manage the time, learning how to juggle the schedule, learning how to communicate appropriately with their professors to make all these pieces of a very difficult jigsaw puzzle fit together. So those are a lot of the off the field victories that nobody really sees.
Yeah.
And I know spring sports, especially baseball, softball, those of us that have to travel and don't always have control of our schedule based on weather, by the time we get to the spring, professors sometimes get a little frustrated with athletics as a whole, as far as the amount of class missed through the year and whatnot. And I love to be able to post what our GPA is further validation that these kids do care about school. These kids are very invested, and if anything, get very stressed out when they can't be in class. And they're going to do everything they can and work harder and above and beyond just to make sure that they're juggling everything. So I like I said, that's probably one of my proudest moments as a coach, especially at the helm of LeMoyne, is just watching them navigate this, helping them navigate this, and really watch them mature. It's really such an extraordinary thing to be a part of.
Here with Tracey Roman, the head coach of the LeMoyne Dolphins softball program, following year one in D1. And I mean, Tracey, for you, with all this going on, you mentioned the fact that softball is very unique, right? In the sense of maybe we watch games played in the rain for soccer. We'll watch games played in the rain or the snow at times for lacrosse. But softball, in some of those similar situations, cannot go on, has to be postponed, and be it a thunder and lightning, be it rain, being it snow at the beginning of the season, you have to adjust. And I mean, I've dealt with that at the high school level. Last week we had a couple shows set up and we had to postpone both of those shows with both of those schools just based on the fact that weather had affected their schedule and they had to move their games. So you said, it can get frustrating and kind of tense and tough, right? When you have to talk to the student athletes and tell them, hey, our game is going to be moved from this day to this day, and get in touch with your professors. But how has that been navigated, and just what you can say about the academic side of things, because you are coaching a team where your student athletes may expect to be in class on a Wednesday, and then all of a sudden they can't be in class on a Wednesday.
Yeah, we find ourselves in a position where our student athletes are rescheduling a test or a quiz or a chem lab, and then all of a sudden that rescheduled date now has to be changed. And that's frustrating for them. It's frustrating for their professors. And it's really trying to teach them the art of communication and helping them master that skill, which again is another life skill, being able to negotiate some of these things and, without trying to come across like you're putting yourself at a greater advantage than your typical student.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of intentional effort and intentional work. And as a coach, you're trying to coach them through that part of things as much as you are the X's and O's of what goes on the field. So there's so many little facets that go on, and little interventions along the way to help your kids and help put them in a position where they can be successful and they can negotiate these conversations with their professors, which isn't always a natural skill for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, obviously there's so much that goes into the season that goes well beyond, like we talked about, simply just looking at, can you hit, can you defend, can you pitch? And for you as a coach, Tracey, we've had numerous conversations over the years about everything through your eyes. What have you learned about yourself this season? What's the new tool that's in the toolbox, or tools in the toolbox for Tracey Roman?
Honestly, Dan, it's a lesson in personal growth for sure. And this might sound crazy as for a coach to say, but I have very high standards, sometimes unreasonably high standards for myself and what I hold myself accountable. And I found myself having to take some of the same advice I give to the student athletes. But sometimes you got to give yourself a break. Sometimes you got to understand you're only one person trying to juggle all this stuff, and maybe you can't always do things to the level or the standard that you want to do them to, simply because there's so much going on. So understanding and accepting the fact that I'm human,
yeah,
and I'm one person and I'm doing the best that I can. To me, it feels like sometimes I'm getting a little lax, but really I'm just trying to pick and choose my battles and excel in areas that I know are really important, academics being one of them. These kids, when they come to the college level, you're not reinventing the wheel with what you're teaching them. You're trying to get the most out of them. You're trying to maximize what they're capable of doing as an athlete. So just understanding for me that you're doing the best you can. There's always going to be areas where you feel like you want to do more. And it's not that you're letting go of those things, but understanding that you can only control so much, and just make sure that you're present when you need to be present and doing the best you can in those moments. But understanding you're human at the same time.
Yeah. And like you said, giving yourself a break. I mean, you said you've learned that, and to give some of the advice to yourself that you give to your student athletes, but as a follow-up, have you listened to yourself?
I try. I'm a work in progress, right? We're all a work in progress. Yeah, I really do try, but I'm constantly, I have a lot of people in my network that are telling me, listen, there's certain things that you just, you got to understand. Like, we're not a Power 5 situation where we have 4 full-time staff members. And unfortunately, I coached early in my career at Iowa State, Big 12 University, where there was greater funding. And so you're used to, that's your perception of how things need to be done and should be done. But when you're trying to do that with much less staff, you got to understand, okay, I'm not going to be able to do that. So if I have to pick 4 or 5 things that I could do really, really well, what are those things going to be?
Yeah. And, like you said, resources, staffing, all of that. As we step forward, this is year 1 of reclassification. The decision by LeMoyne was made last May, so we're at the year mark. We have 3 more years to go in the reclassification period, unless something were to change by NCAA ruling to call it less time or whatever they want to do with it. But in this reclassification period, what would you like to see? What would you like to see staffing-wise, resource-wise? You got the press box at your facility. What else can be done? What's the next thing that you're fighting for as a coach?
For me, it's staffing. Staffing far supersedes a press box, a batting cage, any piece of equipment. 24 student athletes to one one full-time person, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes on. You need that person, that soft place to land as an assistant coach for your student athletes. There needs to be a good cop, bad cop sort of scenario where things aren't always getting to the head coach, where the assistant coach is kind of mitigating some of that, and just so they can get more one-on-one attention, skill-wise, academically, so we can provide the sort of experience and service that they deserve to have. So, for me, the staffing piece is 100% like the most critical component. And again, I don't think anybody here at LeMoyne, we understand where we are, where our starting point is. We understand that things take money. And nobody expects to have 4 full-time people instantaneously. But just starting with that one full-time person would be a great step. It'd be a great help. And yes, you always aspire to have more in the future, but we understand it's going to be a process. So yeah, if I could have anything, if I was rubbing my genie lamp here and I got a wish, that would be the wish.
Yeah, and I think, it makes perfect sense because I hear about it all the time, and you brought it up, the good cop, bad cop, right? Some people describe it as, the head coach is my parent and the assistant coach is my brother or my sister, right?
Right.
They're that person that's going to love you and they're a part of your family, but they're there for you that when the head coach says, tough love and, we got to work on this and you got to do this, then, you go to the sibling and the sibling says, well, this is what they're trying to tell you. And this is why they're trying to tell you that. And I remember with Mike Hopkins, him and I talked about it. He's like, Jim Boeheim's the dad. And
Right.
he said, I'm the big brother. And so, you having that piece is essential. And in the really, speaking on this, you said 24 student athletes, and I'm just sitting here thinking about that going, without a full-time assistant, it's on you, Tracey, and 24 personalities, 24, sometimes 24 people means 24 different ways you have to lead, 24 different ways you have to speak. Sometimes it means that you have 24, so these 10 can understand you this way, and these 5 understand you this way, and then these other 9 understand you a different way. How have you figured out, do you feel like you figured out a way to take 20 plus student athletes and get your message across in a way that they understand? Because we all understand differently. Some people are visual learners. Some people you can tell them something and it's good. Some people you have to write it down to. Some people you have to tell 100 times. Some people you have to tell once. So how have you navigated leadership, essentially, knowing that not everybody, and I think that that's something that, you see in movies, like somebody goes up, they stand at a podium, they say one thing one way, and then everyone's like, I got it. But that's not how it works.
It's not how it works. And it's amazing how you think you're delivering a certain message as a coach, and what you're delivering and what they might absorb and hear can be 2 completely different things. It's kind of like sending a text message. If it gets like tone gets misinterpreted, like it's easy for things to get messed up. But I really work hard, again, understanding I can't be everything to everyone. I really try to have a relationship with each of them. With understanding of what goes on in their personal life, family life, school life, softball life. Yeah. I just can't have as many touches as I would like to have. And again, that's where an assistant comes in, right? So I think we work really hard to just communicate, keep things light, and just show real interest. I think coaching is nothing greater than any other management position where you're just learning to manage the people that are working for you. And that comes through relationship building. So, I try to work hard at that, but again, it's 1 to 24, so that can be tough. And, to your point about what Mike Hopkins was saying, I really believe that good assistant coaches make the head coach to a lot of extent, because good assistant coaches bring ideas to you and help you to see things maybe a little bit differently than what you might see them. We all have a stubbornness about us as head coaches in a way that we like to do things. And you need staff and people to kind of help you to see differently and say, hey, this person had a really good week in practice. Would you consider trying this person? Or did you ever think about this defensive strategy? I know you like to do this, but like, have you ever thought about that? So just having that other person to bring ideas to you, I think is good for me and it's good for the team. So, but yeah, we work really hard on, I work really hard on relationships with them. But again, this is where the high achiever in me and the unrealistic person, I always feel like I could be doing more. And you always want to do more for them. You want to do the best you can by them. You bring them here, right? So you feel a responsibility towards them.
Yeah, and I can respect that, and I respect the person that you are, very much so. Tracey Roman here, LeMoyne Dolphins head softball coach in this edition of the Dolphin Dive, in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne. Wake up call here inside the Heritage Hill Studios. a few pieces I want to hit before we jump into rapid fire, Tracey, and that is the fact that you and I have talked about pitching. We know that Laura Bennett has been a phenom. LB is LB. She does what she does. And going into this season, there was an emphasis on taking the pitchers you have and raising that level and looking to the future as well. How do you feel recruiting-wise and current team-wise about where we are on the mound as we move forward?
Losing Laura, I mean, it's going to be a tremendous loss, obviously, but like this is the nature of college athletics. Student athletes come, they have their time, and then they go. And what Laura was able to do for us was pretty remarkable. She ended up having over 600 strikeouts in her career. And again, that's with one of her seasons, 2021, being cut grossly short just because we only played 24, 26 games, something like that. So she had half a season. So, but she started her career tough in the circle and she finished her career tough in the circle. And I think she can walk away and very pleased with what she was able to accomplish. And what people wouldn't know about Laura is, where she started in the classroom and where she finished up. She was one of those student athletes that grew tremendously academically and finished strong this last semester with really good grades. So gonna miss LB, but really excited. We have three really strong pitchers coming in that'll be here in the fall that are having exceptional high school seasons, ending up their high school seasons. So it's going to give our staff is going to look completely different next year, completely different. A lot more versatility. We will be young, so you always have high hopes for your youngins, but understanding it's a process. The strike zone gets tighter, the hitters get better, and they're going to take their lumps. Ariana Exarikis returns in the circle, and I think she's not even scratched the surface with what she can do here. So I'm really, really excited about our pitching staff.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, I mean, it's bittersweet because LB's finishing up her time, and she came in with you, and so I think speaking with Mackenzie Bergdahl and Laura Bennett, they were saying, like we've been here with Coach from the jump. And I mean, what's that going to be like for you? And have you, now that we've had graduation, have you experienced the emotion of not only do you have student athletes that are moving on from their time in college, but you're having student athletes move on that literally, like the day you walked in, kind of right there parallel with you, walked in with you. Has that hit you yet?
I try not to think about it. No, some of these kids, these are really tough losses. Again, when you build relationships with people, it is hard to lose them, even though they're not gone from your life forever, but they're going to be gone from the day to day. And one of the difficult points of the season is I had two critical fifth years have season career-ending injuries. Izzy Boudreau, who had historically been a 300-plus hitter for us for the last 2 years, broke her arm early in the season, got hit by a pitch at Lafayette, and ended her career. Jill Dunn, no less than a week and a half later, slides into a base at Merrimack, breaks her ankle in two places, and done, career over. So, and those are two kids that have been with me since the beginning. Mackenzie Bergdahl, another one, Ben for me went through a lot with Mackenzie, saw her grow and mature exponentially. They're really, really great stories. Laura Bennett, another one. So yeah, we're losing a lot of these kids that kind of help build the foundation since I've been here, at least. And they will be sorely missed. But that's kind of what's interesting and fun and unique about coaching a college team is the dynamic changes every single year. And I'm very confident that the leadership that those specific student athletes brought is really going to take hold in some of our younger players. I think they did a really good job in setting the expectations for what our culture is. So I'm really proud of them for what they did and the work they did and grateful to them, but excited to see what's to come for them.
Yeah. And we know that what's to come inside of the NEC, there's going to be change, right? Sacred Heart is gone. Merrimack is gone. So what can you say about, as you figure out the schedule, we know that you play a ton of schools based in the state of New York, including right down the road at Syracuse. So we've seen the Siennas and the Cornells and the Colgates and the Binghamtons and the Syracuses and LIU in the conference and so on and so forth. But now that we know that, you're a year in, and the NEC is going to change now. No Sacred Heart, no Merrimack. What can you say about just sheerly looking at the NEC schedule for softball?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I think we're used to change at this point. The NEC is ever changing, moment to moment. But like, I think one thing we realized this year, and I think what changes a little bit going from Division II to Division I, where you are competing against schools that have greater staff, maybe a little bit better funding. There's a lot of analytics in our game. Greater resources means that you're having people study your team a lot differently. So I noticed in a point that we're looking to improve on next year is, we didn't hit as well in conference as we did overall, and that's simply because there's more intel out on you, and people are really studying up for those games. So some of our better hitters, I have Alyssa Dibez, who I think hit 345 on the season. She's thinking she had a bad season, but understanding that this is harder. This is a harder path, and our preparation has to be a little different. So this year was a learning curve in the NEC. I think now we know a little bit more of what we're going to expect, how we're going to get pitched in conference, which is going to help for our preparation moving into next year.
Yeah, and we know that Chicago State and Mercyhurst coming in as full members to the NEC, but Chicago State does not have softball. So we know with Mercyhurst coming in, how is this going to look like? Because there's a certain amount of teams you need for AQs. So what does the NEC look like with the addition of Mercyhurst as you step forward?
Well, Mercyhurst is a decent, Division II program, so I think they're going to add a lot to the NEC. But I think, we need to pick up a couple more teams, so to speak, with those AQ ratings, or just to keep us qualifying. So I know the NEC is busy behind the scenes trying to broker and negotiate deals to make sure that we're secure in our standing in the NEC conference. But it's just something as a coach we really can't focus on or pay. Not, I don't want to say not pay attention to, but it's not in our control. So something we're just trying to stay focused on what we can control and feel good about it, and trust in the fact that we have a conference and a leader in our conference that's really trying to make sure we're secure.
I mean, Tracey, in my opinion, why don't we just have all the state of New York teams join one big conference and face each other?
Yeah, it makes things a lot easier logistically. But yeah, no, I get it. It's getting a little wacky out there with some of these conferences.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump into rapid fire. You and I have known each other for a while. We're going to have some fun. We could talk about softball or anything literally in the world. And so you can start whatever you got for me.
Oh, out of all, I know you've picked up some new sponsorships this year, or new team, or new businesses and colleges that you're working with. What is something new that you learned from working with some of the new partnerships you have that maybe you didn't know before?
I think that I appreciate the question, because I think growth, if you're not learning and growing, you're kind of getting busy dying. I have learned that my mom always talks to me about the fact of, you don't know how many people know what you're doing, and you don't give yourself enough credit. And, I've spent my entire career going into a business saying, they don't know who I am. I have to tell them who I am. I have to share with them why I am and why they should work with me. And going into businesses now, I thank God for this, and I take very little credit for this, but when you work hard and you have a faith and you really just keep going no matter what anybody's saying or doing or whatever, I walked into rooms for partnerships in these last few months where somebody said, hey, you don't have to tell me what you do. You show up on my feed all the time. We're not even connected, and I see your work. I see your work. I know your quality of work. I know the type of person that you are. I know what you do and how you do it, and you do good work. And so I think, hearing that in a meeting, instead of me going, hey, this is who I am, somebody going, I know who you are. I know what you do. I think that speaks to a lot of time, and it speaks to a lot of effort, and it speaks to something that I never anticipated. I'm kind of used to being the redheaded stepchild. So I think that learning that was nice. And I think, I also learned something that is really hard in life, Tracey. And that is, I talk to a lot of people. There's been over 5,000 guests on this show. You work with businesses. And what I've learned that's been really difficult to stomach is what my parents have told me my whole life. Not everybody is like you. Not everybody sees the world as you do. And not everybody treats people the way that you do. And I've had to really just understand the fact that no matter how good you are to somebody and how understanding you are and how available you are, it does not equal getting the same. Respect does not equal respect, which I thought it did. And I think that I've had to learn the hard way that you can bend over backwards for someone that really doesn't care. And you have to keep being a good person through that. So I think I've learned a lot. I think I've learned more of challenging myself. I like to challenge myself. I think that I can be so much better than what I am. And I'm like you. I think, I keep trying to look for ways to improve. So I've learned a lot. And I think I'm doing a better job at being good to people that aren't good to me and not sitting here and whining about it, but just kind of accepting the fact that not everybody's the same and I'm going to be good to people no matter what. My question for you, Tracey, is what is something, okay, this will be fun to hear and answer this. What is something you learned about me in the last 3 years?
I feel like you are very dedicated and persistent and you really persevere with what you're doing because I can't imagine it's easy. I'm sure what you do is like what we do with recruiting in a lot of ways. You get a lot of no's, you get a lot of unreturned phone calls at times or unreturned emails. And, I think I've learned that you're very gritty and you're very committed to what you're doing and you're very committed to supporting the people that, are good to you. And I think you really have shown me that you really do care about the colleges and the businesses that you're working with and the people that you have partnerships with. I think you wear that on your sleeve. I think it's very evident. Nothing feels contrived or forced. I think you're very genuine with what you do.
Oh, thank you, Tracey. That was very nice of you to say. I feel very similar about you. I feel like from day zero, you have been. I mean, I remember when I first came in, it was like, hey, you're going to cover our team. Hey, that's nice. We appreciate, and you thank me every single time, every interview, every game, every mention, every anything. And, I guess I would echo what I said to you 3 years ago. Why wouldn't I be there? I don't really care what people have done or haven't done. Your team matters to me. The school matters to me. Your student athletes matter to me. And I love being there. I love seeing you succeed. You're a good person. You work very hard and tirelessly. You don't make excuses. And I think it's easy to support the good ones. And you're one of the great ones that we have in our community. And your student athletes mirror a lot of the things that I appreciate and respect about you. So it's not hard to promote what you do and what your team does because you're genuine people, you're hardworking people, you're kind, and I have fun when I'm around y'all. So it's very easy for me to support what you're doing because you support good people. That's what I've always been taught. When you meet a good person, you connect with that person and y'all go out there and take the world by its you-know-what and show it what it is.
Well, I really appreciate that. And I can tell you just on behalf of the team and specifically Allie Chesney, who had that game-winning hit at that game you attended, who was just so excited. And, I remember when you told her that you wanted to talk to her for a few minutes, she was like, me? Like, so I like you said, it's like, we're so grateful just to have the coverage and to have our story told. And these student athletes are so uniquely different from each other. And they're fun. They're fun people. They're fun human beings. And we just are so grateful that you want to share our story and are willing to share our story. And I know the kids are super grateful. So thanks for all that you do.
Thank you. Seriously. I mean, very easy, like I said, when you're around good people. And Ellie, that being her, I was like, have you done this before? She's like, no. I said, ever? She was like, no. And her teammates are there, like, watching her and just being there on the fence. They're like, get him, Ellie, So, I mean, it was definitely fun. I won't forget that. And that was an awesome game, awesome comeback. Again, I mean, once again, I go to the field, back-to-back seasons now. I go to the field and I see an incredible game right here in Syracuse with LeMoyne softball finding a way to just really give you those moments that make you kind of jump and get excited. And I love it. I mean, I feel like every season there's these moments that you just can't write, and it hits your heart. What's your last question for me?
What have you learned about our program, or something maybe different that maybe you didn't know about what goes on in a college softball program over your 3 years?
I've learned that there's so many. I mean, I think, you use the word gritty, but I mean, I learned that with your team too. They don't give up. They don't give up. They don't look shaken. The thing that I love, you're probably going to laugh when I say this, but I love the chatter. I love your team's chatter. And I'm sure the other team hates it. And that makes me love it more. But I just love just the, I mean, people call it the hey batter, but there's just something about your team loves each other. They're just like, they got inside jokes. They got, ways to kind of communicate to each person. And I would say what I learned about this team is I learned about the chatter of it. And because with softball, I was like, I didn't know if I was going to see that a lot or as much. And I see that with your team. What have I learned? I've consistently learned that you are who you say you are. And I mean, Laura Bennett, to use an example, incredible and humble. Every time that I've spoken to her, she acts like she's a true freshman who's just happy to be there. And Mackenzie Bergdahl, same thing. I mean, Allie, just happy to be there. When I talk to this team, they're thankful, they're grateful, they're appreciative. And in my opinion, it's my task to make sure that to them, it's not like, ooh, someone's covering softball, but whether it's me or 100 people, that they know, like, yeah, we should be covered. Not a cockiness, but a confidence that, yeah, we should be out there. And that's what I try to show them is like, hey, like I treat y'all like I treat Michael Jordan. There's no difference. You're on my show. You get a spotlight. It's about you and what you're doing in your journey. And you're not lower or higher than anybody else. So, I mean, what have I learned about the team? They're kind, they're compassionate, they're gritty, they're fun. And I hope someday I'm in a situation where that dugout can chatter for me and be like my amped up people. I want them to be my hype people, so to speak, Tracey.
That's great. Yeah, no, they're awesome. And we try to keep it fun and light. And, I think something that you're seeing in athletics now that's a little different than when I played is there's a lot of in your face, like hand gestures. And I'm not just talking softball, I'm talking basketball. And one thing I always say to the team, I don't care what other people are doing. Cheer for our team. We're not cheering against anybody else. Yeah. When you're good, your work speaks for itself. So I think they do a good job, and I think they have fun. And I think if we're not having fun, we're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing is like your chatter is never negative, disrespectful, or embarrassing. It's always to your team, which I appreciate that. And my final question for you, Tracey, is, well, it's going to be a couple parts. One, how did you celebrate Mother's Day? Two, what have you done for yourself? Because you do so much for other people. What have you done for yourself? I don't care what it is, but within 2024, from January 1st to now, tell me one thing you did for Tracey And also, I want to know how you celebrated Mother's Day.
Okay, so how I celebrated Mother's Day. I actually didn't have a lot going on, but I went in and this is going to sound terrible, but I did some yard work and some gardening, which I love to do.
That's good.
But I did go to see the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes,
Okay.
which I can't tell you, I have not been to a movie in a it's just, COVID made it so easy. Now you can just be home and you don't even have to go to the movies. But I'm like, I want to go to the movies and watch this.
Yeah.
My son, God bless him, he doesn't drive yet, but he door dashed like a Mother's Day cake and flowers to the house. So they're getting savvy. So no, it was just very laid back and relaxed, and I need a little bit more of that. As far as what I've done for myself, I've been very intentional about making time to read books, which I used to love to do, but just ran out of time. And what's hard for me is I have to make an intentional effort not to read softball books or books about competing, but just human growth, like personal growth type stuff, and how to be a better leader and that kind of stuff. My coach and mentor said many years ago that if you stop learning or stop being curious, like you're wasting your life and you need to do something else, because as soon as you become stagnant, you really stop growing personally. So I really tried to dive back into learning about things that maybe I don't know about. So that's kind of something I've made a habit of doing again, which has been good. It's an escape. It's a break from all of this, which as a coach, it's hard to shut this off. It really is.
Well, I love that your children are savvy. I love that they door dashed, and I love that you got to go see a movie. Did you like the movie?
I love those movies. I think they're outstanding. I just think it's so different. It gives you something to think about as far as what else could be out there. But it's amazing how the movies from the 60s to the year 2024, as it pertains to the Planet of the Apes, have changed so much. But they're still, I just think they're cool.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, your endorsement of it makes me want to see it more now, because I've been liking some of these new ones, and I didn't watch, the old ones, but I've seen maybe parts of the first one. But definitely, I'm happy you're doing some things for yourself. I'm happy you're having some fun. And the yard work thing, I can understand it, because my dad loves to landscape, and he enjoys it. Get outside,
Yeah.
90, almost 90 degrees or whatever today, and my dad will probably be outside, probably away from his phone. His son will call him numerous times. He won't answer. And then I'll be like, do I have to drive by the house? And then you'll get there, and he's just on his knees, planting something, doing something fun. So I can appreciate it. I'm happy you're doing for you. And, on behalf of not only the community here and the softball community, but really just beyond that, on behalf of everything that I've known and the people I've talked to, thank you for being you. Thank you for always showing up, when I ask you to do a show or be a part of something. And thank you for working hard and being a genuine person, Tracey. You and your team are an absolute pleasure, a treasure here in Syracuse. We're spoiled to have you, and it goes well beyond wins and losses. So I'm already looking forward to next season. And you and I will obviously be speaking through this time period, but thank you for your kind words as always. I take those to my heart very much so. And I'm trying to do a better job of taking a moment to breathe in the moment. I hope you do as well. But I can't say thanks enough, really. So thank you to you and your team. And if you need a pitcher out there with LB moving forward, I'll try to wind up this arm and get ready.
Hey, be careful what you offer, man. I'm always looking for extra help. So, but no, seriously, Dan, I really am grateful for your support of our program and your willingness to tell the stories. I'm very, very sorry that we weren't able to connect a little earlier during the season. It was just a grind this year, but I'm always grateful. And I know the team is as well, of the coverage that you provide for us. So thank you for what you do.
Yeah, it's absolutely my pleasure. No apology needed. Happy to have you here now. And I'll look forward to talking with you soon.
All right. Take it easy.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you. That coming from Tracey Roman here once again on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the LeMoyne Dolphins head softball coach. We had to flip-flop here as we had a change in schedule with Dewey Roden, so we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. For those of you waiting for Dewey, he got in touch with me, and he will be on the broadcast momentarily from the Heritage Hill Studios. This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and we ain't done yet. We just got started. 20-plus years into broadcasting, and folks, in my opinion, barely scratched the surface. I love it. I love y'all for being here, and I appreciate you, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. You don't have to watch this show. You don't have to listen to this show. You don't have to give me any time. So thank you for giving of your time, because time is a gift you can't get back. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your kindness and your generosity. Wake Up Call will be back after this fast break with Dewey Roden. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Head in there any day of the week, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Sundays from 10 to 5, you will find right off of Teal Ave hockey, basketball, baseball, football, soccer, all sport, AEW, UFC, as well as Disney Lorcana and Pokemon while supplies last. For packs and boxes to try your luck and see what you're going to get, to the single cards that you know exactly what you're bringing home, and those graded cards. They just got a ton of cards back from PSA. You will find so many different things. Relic cards, RPAs, Rookie Patch Auto. You'll find autograph cards, the rookie cards in and of themselves. You will find numbered cards, and so much more. And they're the only store that I know that has every Major League Baseball team, every NBA team, every NFL team. So whoever you're a fan of, you can walk in there. I'm a Diamondback, Raptor, Jaguar. What store can I go into that I'm going to find all of that? Well, it's simple. I can go right into GG Cards and Breaks. And you can join me by going in this Thursday, May 23rd from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. for their monthly trade night, where people of all ages get together, whether you have sports cards, don't have sports cards, thinking about jumping in, haven't jumped in yet, or you've been collecting sports cards and trading cards your whole life. Everybody welcome to GG Cards and Breaks Trade Night. We'll see you this Thursday from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. With that being said, we have Mr. Dewey Roden on the broadcast now. Very excited to have Dewey with us, and we're going to bring him in picture for a double dose of the Dolphin Dive. You just heard from Tracey Roman, and now we have Dewey here with us from the LeMoyne Dolphins baseball program. Mr. Roden, how are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing very well, man. And, I'm happy to have you here. I know we had to flip up the schedule here to make sure we got you on, but always good to see your face. For people that don't know, Dewey is one of those guys and one of those people in general that just, you always have a smile on your face. You're always kind. And no matter where I am and what I'm doing, if you're in that place, you go out of your way to come up to me and say, hey, how you doing? How's everything? You doing good? And to spend a few minutes. And Dewey, I don't think that, maybe you do know, maybe you don't, but the importance of letting people feel seen, feel appreciated, and being positive goes a long way. And whenever I'm out on campus and I see you and your smiling face come up and say what's up and how you doing, I really just want to let you know I appreciate you for being the person you are.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you very much for the kind words.
Absolutely. So Dewey, can we get you a little bit closer here? Get you a little bit closer there so bring me into this season. Now, this is a return to Division I, right? But to the team that is there, it's not a return to Division I because you guys have never been there before, so it's not like you're going back. The program's going back. Have you felt any of that pressure as a team? Have you felt any of that, like, this used to be a D1 program, they used to be in the MAC? Yes, LeMoyne is a Division I institution now, but women's lacrosse and baseball used to be here, so there's that pressure. Have you felt any of that or no?
I don't really think that there was a pressure. I think that the last couple of years we really started to raise the level of play at the Division II level. Last year being 2 wins away from playing in the World Series, and returning a majority of the guys, I don't think that there was really a pressure. I think that it was more of like, we know we're good. Like, we think that we're good. We had a really good year at the Division II level. So it's like, you know what, like, we think that we can compete at this level, and we think that we're going to go out there and win some games. So I don't think that there was ever a pressure. Obviously, at the start of the year, there's just the jitters you get out, but that's at any level, you know what I mean? That's any season starting out. So I don't think that there was really any like pressure for being a Division I team.
Yeah, and to me, and I can appreciate that. And I spoke with Scott Cassidy, your head coach, about this, and I think the reason why it maybe didn't feel like such a massive jump is because he's never recruited Division II athletes. He's recruited student athletes that he believed can compete at any level and wanted to get the best of the best to come to LeMoyne. So there wasn't okay, I'm going to recruit the people that people didn't want. And then I'm going to go after these other people and do this and that. His recruiting has always been to bring in a team that can dominate at whatever level you're at, whatever division that you're at. So what can you say to that effect with your head coach, Scott Cassidy, that he was never envisioning this program as Division I, II, or III. He was envisioning this program as a championship caliber team. What do you think that's done for the team?
I think that's done a lot. I think that if you looked at last year's team, there was, to be a freshman and to really make an impact, we had Adam Sullivan, who was freshman player of the year last year for the NE10. Brody Kenniston had a huge year for us. Lucas had a really good year for us last year. So I think that like being able to bring kids in who are freshmen and have impact right away, like that's a huge thing to be able to do, because that's not easy anywhere you go. So I think that really just shows the kind of recruits that he's brought in and the guys that he goes after. So this year too, we had a second baseman who was who started every day for us and had a really good year. So I think that that kind of just shows the type of players that he's bringing in to be able to make impacts as a freshman right away. And I think that, like, talking about pressure, I mean, as a freshman, that's where you feel a lot of it. You know what I mean? Because tomorrow's never really like promised as a freshman,
Yeah.
trying a lot of things out at the start of the year and stuff like that. So to be able to bring guys in who really produce in their first year, and it's not just like, oh, they're in the lineup, or oh, they're starting every other day. I mean, that says a lot to be able to have guys that are going to impact right when they step out on campus.
Yeah, and when we look at this season, of the 13 multi-game series that you had, there's only 3 where this LeMoyne baseball team didn't come away with at least one win. 10 of the 13 multi-game series, wherever they were played, all over the country and at home, you got at least one victory. Some you swept. The most recent one you swept in Norfolk, Virginia. What does that say to you about where this team is at, going from Division II to Division I and facing all this new competition, a new conference? The fact that this LeMoyne baseball team in 13 multi-game series spent 10 of those 13 series getting at least one victory. The majority of the time, you're pulling away a victory against a team that you didn't see last year. 10 of the 13 multi-game series. What does that say about this team?
I mean, it felt like, and I don't really want to talk about last year, but it felt like last year and this year, like there was really like a mutual like belief where it was like you're never really out of a game. You're always in the game and stuff like that. And I think that, like, Norfolk State, our last game of the year, we're down 5 runs in the 8th inning. We end up coming back to win by 1 run in the ninth. So it's like, I think that, and it's funny that you say that. I remember at Wagner, when we were playing at Wagner, we were going into the third game, and this is when we had another arm fall down. So we ended up having 5 hurt guys in the bullpen. So that's what kind of hurt us this year. But it was like, I heard someone from the dugout say, like, they haven't been swept yet this year. And I think that, like, when we took a game from St. Louis, that's where it really opened our eyes to where it's like, like, we can compete at this level. Like we can do this. That was like our first time where it's like, okay, like, you know what, this is the best team we're gonna face all year. And it's like, to be able to take a game from there and go into Sunday, and it's like, you can win a series. It's 1-1. You can win a series against a very good team, and I'm pretty sure that they were projected to win preseason, projected to win the A10. I haven't really checked up to see how they're doing as of lately, but I think that was kind of like, okay, like, you know what, we may not win all these games, or we may not win these series, but it's like, we're right there. We're pretty darn close to being able to win these series. We're setting ourselves up to win these series. We're not just rolling over and letting these teams, like, beat us every game.
Yeah, and here with Dewey Roden of the LeMoyne Dolphins baseball program in this first season in NCAA Division I here, and first season in the NEC. You're a grad student, Dewey, and so this is it, right?
Yeah.
Has it
Yeah.
hit you yet that you just,
Well,
I mean, granted, you just played your last series and y'all won the series. You got another sweep 3-0 in Norfolk, but has it hit you yet?
I wouldn't say it's totally hit me yet, but also I think that the one thing that kind of makes things tougher is when you don't really, like, know when it's going to end. I think that
Yeah.
after Merrimack, we kind of knew that it was going to be like, well, before Merrimack, it was like, we got to win out. And then after Merrimack, we were like, like, I don't think that we're going to make conference tournament. So we knew that it was like the season was going to end. Whereas in years past, where it's like, we're in the super regionals, or we're in the regionals, stuff like that. So you never really know when it ends. So I think it's harder when that happens.
Yeah.
But I guess it really hasn't settled in yet. It becomes like such a normalcy. I mean, the past 6 years of my life, this is all I do. You know what I mean? When spring ball finishes, then you go into summer ball. So I guess that it hasn't really settled in yet. So I guess that it'll feel weird, I'm sure, when I start working this summer, and when I start working in the fall, and I'm not playing baseball.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, you start to feel it as it goes. But last year, Dewey, we were talking about, like you said, a couple steps out of playing in the College World Series. Even though in this transitionary period, we're not. I mean, the just shy of making it into the NEC tournament, and then knowing that there's no NCAA's because of the reclassification, 4-year hiatus as it stands right now, and it'll be 3 after this. But for you, even though this season didn't end in a postseason, last year, coming over from UMass Lowell to LeMoyne, and then seeing last year turn into what it was, and just shy of being in the World Series, making it through regionals, getting it to super regionals, can you rest your hat on an appreciation and just kind of a reflection on even though this wasn't a postseason year as a grad student, the fact that last year you were the team representing LeMoyne. There was nobody playing as far as baseball played. There's graduation going on, and y'all are on the road. I mean, can you end your time at LeMoyne as a baseball player, as a student athlete, and hang your hat on just how incredible that run was to just shy of the World Series?
Yeah, I mean, probably looking back at it now, yes. I mean, obviously, you kind of never really like with having another year this year. It wasn't like, all right, like that's it for me. Like whatever happens this year happens. Obviously, you want to go and you want to make the NEC tournament and stuff like that. But I think that where last year was kind of special to me and to me, there was still a decent amount of guys that I played with for years, but the team that went out last year and the kids that graduated last year, those were the guys that Nick Nevins and I, we came, like, he came in with, I came in a year later, but those were all the guys in the same classes as myself. So it was like, we really had a special bond, and it was like, we lived together and we played together. We basically ate, slept, and baseball. Like that's what we did. So that really had a special place to me. Being able to achieve those things and win a regional and going to a super regional and just having all those successes, that has a really special place in my heart, I guess, with those guys, because those are the guys who I'd been with for years. So I guess yes and no. If you would have asked me prior to the season, I would have said like probably more towards no, just because there's still more work to do. You want to play in an NEC conference. You want to win the NEC, but after this year, looking in retrospect, it's like, you know what, that yes, because that just has such a special place to many of us.
You came over from UMass Lowell after being there in 2019. Why come to LeMoyne? And reflecting on it, would you have done it again?
So at the time, you would had to sit a year out if you were to go Division I to Division One. When I transferred, that changed, I'm pretty sure, the next year when COVID hit.
Yeah.
So I would have had to sit a year out if I went to Division One. I really didn't want to go to a JUCO, and I was homesick at school at UMass Lowell, so it was like I wanted to go somewhere semi close to home. So LeMoyne was a perfect fit for me. I mean, it's basically in my backyard. It's like a 30-minute drive. There was guys that I played with before. I grew up playing travel ball with Derek Miller. He was an assistant coach last year, and he transferred in here the same year I did. Zach Brush is another guy I grew up playing high school baseball against. So I knew some of these guys, so I was a little bit more comfortable coming here, and with it being closer to home. If I were to ever do it again, 100% no doubt. I think that even if it was the Division I to Division I rule, and if I could go back in time and there was the Division I to Division I transfer, and they said, hey, if I could look into the future and see that this is what it would have went like, I would say yes, I would do it all over again. I wouldn't trade it for the world coming here to LeMoyne.
That coming here from Dewey Roden in this edition of the Dolphin Dive on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne, and we are, of course, inside of the Heritage Hill studios. Dewey, you came, like you said, 30 minutes away, Vernon, Verona, Sherrill, and coming from Sherrill, New York. What can you say about your high school days, and what can you say about your town and what you love about it for those that don't know about the area.
So, I mean, if anyone ever asks me where I'm from, I'll just ask them if they know where the Turning Stone is, because that's like the biggest attraction around. And Cheryl's actually the smallest city in New York State. It really shouldn't be considered a city. It should be a town. But yeah, so it was basically three cities slash towns combined for a high school. And I was very close with a lot of the guys who I played high school sports with. It's actually funny you asked me that because I played in made my debut in a softball league last night with all my buddies. So that was a blast. I had a great time with them. But yeah, so a lot of farmland where I come from. Cheryl doesn't really have any farmland, but Vernon and Verona have a lot of it. So it's a very like close knit, small area. We had a lot of success in high school sports wise, but for baseball, we really struggled in the playoffs. We would always get the 1 or 2 seed, and then we'd lose first round. We actually lost to Zach Brush's high school team in the first round my sophomore year. So I think that's why this last connecting back to the one question about the regional, I think that's why the regional holds such a special place to me, is because I didn't really like have the ability to win anything big in high school. We won a Legion championship where my dad was the coach, so that was pretty special. Yeah. But winning a regional, like, that's something that you can hold with you forever. Like I stole the banner from the regional because that's the only thing that we got. I have it hanging up on my side porch. Like, that's something that I'll have forever. You know what I mean? So like that holds a really special place in my heart. But obviously, so does VBS. I've coached the last 3 winners there as the assistant coach for JV basketball, and I'm pursuing to be a teacher. I'd like to be a special ed teacher, so I hope that one day later on I can be a teacher at VBS, or at least be able to coach baseball and basketball there at VBS. So obviously, I'd really like to be involved in the area and stuff like that. So it definitely really holds a special place in my heart between LeMoyne and VBS.
And Dewey, for you, I mean, VBS, like you said, Vernon, Verona, Cheryl, for you being a part of basketball, and you said you'd like to coach that, like to coach baseball, like to teach there, special ed. Why do you want to stay? Why do you want to stay in the area? You know, you started there, then you went to UMass, got homesick, came to LeMoyne 30 minutes away, and now you're willing to go right back home. Why? You know, I mean, people ask me that all the time. They're like, you lived in Pennsylvania, you lived in Florida. Why would you come back to Syracuse? Why would you choose to be here? And I know my why, but I want to know your why. Why do you want to be here?
I guess that it's just like, I want to be able to kind of give back. I feel like growing up and stuff like that, I was very lucky to be surrounded by the people I was surrounded by. My dad was coaching me most of the time throughout basketball. He was coaching our fifth, sixth grade basketball team, and then like throughout most of my baseball career, he coached my travel baseball team, and then he coached Legion and stuff for us. And a couple of my buddies, their fathers were coaches too. And I feel like I want to give back. I feel like I'm very blessed for how I was raised and the things, the opportunities I was given by the people around me. And I want to be able to kind of give that back to other people around here. Because, like, I guess that my why is like, I remember when I was growing up, and my brother's 10 years older than me, and like when he played high school basketball, like they would sell out basically. Like, they had a coach who's in the Hall of Fame now and stuff like that for Central New York sports. So like growing up and being a young kid and going to watch my brother play and stuff like that, that's what kind of like always drove me. And I guess that's what kind of sticks to me now is why I want to stay in the area. And I know that there's kind of been when I was in high school, like I said, we were always very successful besides in playoffs and stuff like that, but there's been kind of a dip as of recently, so I kind of would like to get things back to where they were like when I was growing up, when my brother was playing there, when I was in high school and stuff like that. So that stuff really sticks close to me. I will say, though, that after going to UMass Lowell, I think that I could definitely live in a different area. I have a lot of family around here and stuff, but I think that after going through the adversity that I did freshman year and living away from home, I think that I definitely would be able to do that now. I think that it would still be tough just because of all the friends I have still in the area and the family and stuff like that. But it's just I want to give back. I want to be able to give other kids the opportunity, some of the opportunities that I were given.
Dewey, why are you like this? Why, I mean, like I said, we started off the show how you always go out of your way to say hello to me at any event. You're always helping out. You're running camera at the, men's and women's basketball games, but you do things you don't have to do, and you help people, and you choose to do that. And you're a student athlete, and there's a lot asked of you in the classroom, and there's a lot asked of you on the baseball in the baseball world, and you're helping out your high school, like you said, at VVS for basketball, and you're doing all these things. Why are you the way you are? With the time that you have, any free time that you always seem to be helping somebody else, and you always, like I said, are smiling and just you're giving back. Why?
I think that's actually funny you said that because that makes me think back to 2 years ago when I was coaching and my dad was like, make sure he's like, make sure you're giving yourself enough time. Like I don't want you to overdo your schedule and stuff because I was substitute teaching, I was helping out there, and obviously that's a crucial part of your preseason going into the baseball year. And you know what, like I think that's really made me like put things into perspective, and it's like when I'm not busy, it's just like I'm bored. So it's like I gotta always be doing something. It just makes time fly by and it makes you know what I mean? Makes you not be able to think. You're just constantly doing stuff, you're constantly going. And I think that that's just like like you speaking about the different ways. I think that that's just like my parents, how they raised me and stuff like that. I really gotta give that to them and stuff like that. So I'm very thankful for them. So I think that that's just a reflection of their parenting and stuff like that. But I guess that like now I'm really trying to keep myself busy so then it doesn't settle in that I'm kind of my career is over and stuff like that. So I think that it really helps me stay busy and be on the move and stuff like that. Less time to think and more just taking in as many experiences as you can.
And I want you shouted out mom and dad. What are their names?
Ann and John Roden.
Ann and John. What do you want to say to Ann and John beyond what you already said, which is beautiful, and I'm sure you probably make them cry. But Ann and John, what do you want to say to mom and dad?
Yeah, I mean, it just makes me think about like the travel ball days growing up and stuff where we'd be constantly moving and my mom would have to wash my pants and stuff like that, washing it in the sink and stuff like that. But just like all the sacrifices they've made and stuff, it's a direct reflection of where I am today, and I can't thank them enough. I mean, I could go on for hours about this stuff, but it's just I think that where I became today, it's a direct reflection of them.
Dewey Roden here with me on Wake Up Call in this edition of the Dolphin Dive, thanking mom and dad. Before we finish up things here, Dewey, I do want to get into rapid fire here in a second, but before we go there, I know that you finished up your time at LeMoyne, but the baseball team is going to be going through another change. So they were in the MAC, then they came to, in Division One, then Division Two inside of the NE10, now Division One in the NEC. But the two of the top three teams in the NEC are going to the MAC, ironically, and
Yeah.
Sacred Heart and Merrimack going to the MAAC, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. And so as they move forward, we're going to see LIU, Wagner, Delaware State, FDU, Central Connecticut, Stonehill, Coppin State, Norfolk State, Maryland Eastern Shore, of course, LeMoyne, and then coming in Mercyhurst and Chicago State. What are your thoughts on the future of this 12-team conference of the NEC with the addition of Chicago State and the addition of Mercyhurst, who is also reclassifying like LeMoyne from D2 to D1? What's your take on what the NEC might look like for LeMoyne in the future?
Well, I think that it's definitely pretty cool that there's kind of some further schools away you get to travel to because obviously like the start of the year, that's usually the furthest trips you take, and those are the ones you kind of look forward to. Um, so I think that being able to kind of like spread out the conference a little bit is pretty cool. I think that though you're also seeing that some of these Division two teams that were performing at pretty high levels at the Division two level are now transitioning into Division one. And I think that the funny part is Merrimack was right next to UMass Lowell, and they were going through the transition when I was there. And I think that it's looking back now. I mean, they're performing at a pretty high level in this conference. So I think that it's pretty cool because they're getting a nice dynamic of teams that are transitioning into Division One, but also there's some local, not local, but teams that aren't too far that are pretty competitive.
And for you, as you reflect on this last season playing baseball collegiately, the team finished up, and like we said, what you've done in series, a record in the NEC for the first time and playing against this talent of Division One, totally new schedule. 22, 27, and 1 overall, that tie 4-4 against Albany in a rainout, and then 15 and 17 in your first season in the NEC. You end the season winning 3 in a row in a series, 9-4-1 at Dick Rockwell. When you look at it as a whole, what are your thoughts?
I think that the one thing that stood out to me was the midweeks. The midweeks you play a lot of the local teams. So we were playing teams in the MAC, we were playing teams in the America East. We played St. Bonnie's there in the A10. So these are a lot of the schools that, like when you're recruiting, those are the schools that you're kind of in competition with. And I think that we had a lot of success against those teams. I know that sometimes the lineups maybe changed, but we even had lineup. They were trying new things out during the week, and I think that that shows the level that we can play at. I mean, Niagara, they were when we played them the first time at home, they were undefeated in the MAC. They were 9-0, I believe, and they ended up with a very good record. I know they had 30 plus wins or something. We beat them both times. So I think that kind of we played really well against the teams around here and stuff like that, and I'm intrigued to see how they do in the future. I like I said, I live like 20 minutes away, so I'll definitely be following them and stuff like that. But all around, it was a great year, and I think ending at Norfolk State was you kind of got to go out on a bang and being able to sweep in that last game, being down 5 runs in the eighth inning. It kind of shows some of the flashes of last year and this year of not giving up and stuff like that. So that was awesome. That last series this weekend in Virginia, and I don't know if you ever seen the video. I think there's a kid from Boston College. It was years ago in March Madness where he got very emotional talking on the podium after the game, and he said that the things he's gonna miss are like going out to dinner with the guys and hanging out in the hotels and stuff like that. And I think that although that last trip to Norfolk, 8.5 hours, 10 hours on the bus wasn't like it stunk some parts of it, but being able to be around the guys for the last trip for that amount of time was really nice just to be able to spend that time together and go out on kind of a bang.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. I mean, those are the things you really cherish about being a college athlete and stuff like that, because obviously baseball and sports are very important, but at the end of the day, you're a human being and you want to connect with others, and the relationships you make, those are the really the special things.
Yeah, and Dewey, I mean, you talk about travel. You got to go to Texas. You got to go to Missouri. You had a couple opportunities in Virginia. You're out in Connecticut a couple times, Delaware, New Jersey a couple times as well. When you look back on this travel and you look back on the season, what did you think about the road and being out there? I mean, it gives you time in hotels, right, to get to know your team and to get closer together. You're eating together. You're all you got. You're going to places that some of you have never been, to like the Missouris and the Texases of the world and so on and so forth. So what did you think about life on the road as a Dolphin this year?
It was definitely a lot of fun. I mean, this year was unique for me. I student taught, so I wasn't like missing classes and stuff. I was just missing teaching. I definitely will say that you miss a lot more class at the Division 1 level. We missed a lot of class my freshman year, but I with being so busy and stuff like that, it's really cool being able to travel to all these places and stuff like that. I've never been to Missouri and stuff like that, so we got to try some barbecue. That was awesome. We got to see the Arch in St. Louis, going to Texas. I'd never been in Texas. Well, I've been in Texas when we went to Arizona my freshman year. We had a pit stop in Texas, but it was cool to be able to spend some time down there in Texas and stuff like that. So I mean, it's really cool the places you get to go to and stuff like that, and just I mean, it is tough to balance all those things, but it's also it flies by. It's really enjoyable. You're with your best friends and stuff like that. You're with your buddies. You're playing a game that you love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get to miss school and stuff like that. You're going to new places. You're going to airports, flying and stuff like that. So it's awesome. It's a great experience, and I'm glad that my last year I was able to go out and experience these things.
That coming from Dewey Roden. Dewey, we're going to play some rapid fire here in Dolphin Dive to round out this conversation in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with LeMoyne College. This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, featuring LeMoyne Dolphins baseball student athletes right here in our community, and coming from VVS, Dewey Roden. Dewey, you got the first question for me. What do you got?
What's my first question for you?
Yes, sir.
Wow, you're really putting me on the spot here. Um, so I guess with our first year being at LeMoyne, and obviously I see you at a lot of the sporting events. What was your most memorable experience, or one thing from this year that stood out to you about our transition, or going to watch the sporting events, stuff like that?
I think, I thought some of the teams could compete right away. And I think I was pleasantly surprised at being hopeful that it would be more than some of the ones I was thinking of, and it was true. I think, softball had some good moments. Your team had some good moments. Seeing the first series sweep come at home at Dick Rockwell Field, I felt like that was all too poetic, and I was there for that. And, I would say I was on the road in Connecticut with the women's basketball team when they got to play in the championship, seeing what the men did, knocking out FDU in men's basketball, getting in touch with Robin Wheelis about cross country and track and field and the things that happened there, talking to Joe Tesori and seeing what the women's golf team, they did some special things, the golf teams in general. Of course, talking to my guy, Jeff Lonzak, about men's and women's tennis, and women's tennis getting the first NEC win ever for any of the teams at LeMoyne. And, and then getting to see Callum and what he did, Callum Donnelly as an interim head coach, now the head coach for men's soccer, getting them into the postseason. Yaro Zavaslan getting almost into the postseason there, right up to the wire. Being at the game where Cal came to LeMoyne across the country, and seeing Liz Bevel and the women's lacrosse team take down Cal Berkeley. There's so many moments that I just really am grateful for. But beyond everything else, my biggest thing was the move from D2 to D1. I didn't want it to change the culture. And to the credit of you student athletes, you're humble, you're hardworking, you're kind, and the stories have been consistent with all that goodness. And I also want to shout out my guy here, Adam Zakowski, as well, with swimming and diving. And I went to a meet toward the end of I went to senior day, and that was nuts. I think I was there for like 4.5 hours at the pool. And really, it's just the people. The people are what make any business, any family, any organization, any household. And the people at LeMoyne that I really treasure just once again gave me another fun year. And I didn't look at Division II or Division I different, because the nice people were nice, the good people were good, the hardworking people were hardworking. And, I think that was probably my favorite part of this year one in D1, is that the good stayed good. And I just, I like being around y'all.
Yeah.
My first question for you, Dewey, I'm going to go to food because I'm very hungry in the studio right now. So we're going to go to food. I want you to give me the Dewey Roden menu. Breakfast that you can have every day. And it doesn't have to be one thing. You just paint that picture. So what are you going to eat for breakfast if you had to eat something every day? What are you going to have for lunch? What are you going to have for dinner? And then give me one like packaged snack, like one candy or something that you could have every day.
So I would say breakfast. I'm really simple. I'm either like a scrambled eggs and bacon guy, or the one thing that I've probably eaten the most and I could eat almost every day is there's like protein oatmeal. I'll have oatmeal, I'll put a banana in there, I'll put protein powder, and then I'll put a scoop of peanut butter in there, and it tastes like a dessert almost. I mean, the usually I'll use cookies and cream protein powder, so I mean it tastes really good. It's very enjoyable. Lunch is kind of weird because like the one thing that I could have every day, but I rarely have is there like a turkey club. Like there's a couple places around here that have like really good turkey clubs. I could eat that every single day.
Okay.
That or Chipotle. I could eat Chipotle every day. But usually my lunch consists of leftovers from whatever was for dinner. So a lot of times for dinner, I say every day I could eat steak almost every day, but usually it's either like hamburger, chicken I'll eat with like rice and a vegetable and stuff like that. So I'm pretty basic with what I eat. For a package thing that I could eat every day, I mean I love sour stuff. So like Sour Patch Kids or like sour gummy worms or Sour Patch watermelon. I could eat a package of that every day easily.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I have my rain in the studio and it's sour gummy worm flavor. And it tastes exactly like a sour gummy worm, which is insane to me. But
Yeah.
shout out to Rain for doing some really cool flavors. I like that choice. What's your second question for me?
So if you had someone, say you had someone coming to Syracuse to visit, and they're like, "Hey, I wanna go to like a fancier restaurant in Syracuse. Like, where do you recommend we go? Like, if you had to take someone to a place to eat, and where would you take them to?"
I would have to say we're going to go out to Auburn and we're going to go to Lasca's. The food, this is the thing that I appreciate about Lasca's. With all these food prices and all this garbage that we're dealing with in America, and this just, once again, total disrespect of humanity and just charging people more and more money when you've taken so much away from them and then, attacking them a different way, which is wrong. And if I ever run for president, there's a lot of things that I would change. One of them would be to stop trying to destroy the middle class and just have really rich people and everyone else is poor. So I would say what I love about Lasca's is through COVID, their portions are still huge and the price is really good for what you get. I like veal, and they give you two massive pieces of veal, breaded, cheese all over it. If you eat like a quarter of it, you're eating a lot. And then you
Yeah.
have like a meal for 3 days and you get pasta. So, and then they have this marinara sauce. It's kind of like, I'm Hispanic and Italian. It's like a mix between like a salsa and a marinara, and it's got a kick to it, and it's more liquidy, and you get the bread, and I could live on that like all day. So I would say Lasca's for the look of it because it's a little bit of a drive. And as a kid, if we were driving a long distance to a restaurant, it was like in my head, like the longer you drive, the more like high quality special thing you're going to. So Lasca's is a little bit of a drive and it's worth it. The food is great. The atmosphere is great. And, to this day, if I'm doing like a birthday or something like that, I like going out there. So I think, as a single man in society, I guess I would be telling a woman in the future if I brought her to Lasca's that maybe I'm serious about her. So my question to you, Dewey, is you have played in the infield and you
Yeah.
have played as a pitcher. We have seen you in different places. Do you have a favorite place that you played? And if you could play a game of baseball with any Major League Baseball player ever, who would you spend a game playing next to?
So a position that I would always want to play is probably first base.
Okay.
I will go off on a little bit of a tangent right now, quick. I will say that the nice thing about this year being able to pitch again was it was like pitching's a little bit different mindset. So like on the weekends, it's like you're very locked in hitting wise, defensively, stuff like that. But during the midweeks, it was a little bit. It's a different preparation, so it was pretty cool to be able to like prepare for the weekend, and then it's like when I'm playing the midweek game, I'm starting pitching, so it's like you know what, like I'm going at the game a little bit differently. So that was really nice to me for the senior year, to be able to do that. If I were to be able to play next to one person, so I will say that like growing up, I was a big Tim Lincecum fan.
Okay.
I've always been a Yankees fan, so it wasn't like I just always really thought like his hair was cool, like his pitching motion was cool. He was a very good pitcher. Won a couple, I think he won at least one World Series. I remember growing up that it was like them and the Cardinals were like going back and forth with who was making it to the World Series. I always been a pretty big Bryce Harper fan. Um, so I guess it'd be pretty cool to play on the same team as him, you know what I mean? Hit in front or hit behind him and be able to kind of talk to him.
All right, Dewey. Well, and I appreciate that answer as well. Love it. Tim Lincecum. Like to hear that name. Haven't heard it in a minute. Bryce Harper obviously came through Syracuse when they were the Washington Nationals affiliate. You get a bonus question because I feel like it. So what is your final question for me? And then I'll give you one.
Final question, let's see. So if you were to like be able to travel anywhere throughout the country, like where would be your first choice? Is it somewhere you've already gone, or is there somewhere like it's on your bucket list that you want to go?
I'd probably go out to San Diego. I want to cover San Diego Comic Con. San Diego Comic Con and New York Comic Con are like the two big ones in the States, and I think they're two of the biggest ones in the world. So I've covered New York Comic Con for my entertainment show, Superpowered Pop, and I've done that for like 6 years. God willing, this is year number 7. So I'd want to go to San Diego for San Diego Comic Con. I'd want to go to San Diego because I heard the weather's always perfect. I heard that like there's so many more days of sun than anything else. The weather's like perfect, 75, 80, whatever. So, and I got a buddy out there that I haven't seen in a while who's like another dad to me. He was the dean of students at Marywood University, where I went in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And Donald Godwin, he asked me to come out there years ago because he went out to the University of San Diego. So I would want to visit him. I'd want to experience the weather. I want to go on the beach in the pier, and I'd want to do Comic-Con. So I'd probably say San Diego. My question back to you, Dewey, is you and I have known each other for a bit here. So if you and I were doing a buddy film, or doing a comedy of our growing friendship, what would be our profession in this comedy movie? So what would you and I be doing, and what would be the funny twist in the movie? So what's our job, and then like what's that thing that we're like going toward, or our goal that ends up being a funny story?
So I think that when you said that, that kind of made me think of Dumb and Dumber. Like that's a like think of them like trekking across the country on the bike or whatever. Like when he sells the car or whatever and then buys the bike. I'm trying to think right now. That's the first thing that came into my mind. But like them driving in the dogmobile, maybe we're like electricians or something. I don't know, and we yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. So yeah, well, let's say we're electricians or something. We're driving we got a van. We're driving together, and then our goal is let's say We are moving from New York to San Diego, so we got to make a cross-country trip.
Okay. I like it. And the comedy that ensues from that.
Yeah.
I like that. I can appreciate that. With that being said, Dewey Roden, LeMoyne Dolphins, baseball student athlete, and so much more. And really just one of the good people that you get to see in this world. And like I said, Dewey, like I started, a smile and a handshake and a how you doing goes a long way. You are finishing up your time at LeMoyne, but we're only beginning our friendship. And so if I can steal you and have you back here from time to time, that'd be great. And knowing that you're going to be in the area, let's find some time to, we talked about food today, so let's find some time to get some food and build on this friendship, because I absolutely am proud that I got to cross paths with you.
Definitely. I look forward to it. I really appreciate the kind words. I really appreciate the opportunity you've given me today. I know last year you did the same thing for us after the regionals, and we really appreciate all the coverage you guys give us and the things that you guys do that go unseen and stuff like that. So thank you from me, and thank you from the team and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. It's my pleasure. Yeah. Dewey Roden, we'll talk with you soon, all right, buddy?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Take care. That coming from Dewey Roden once again on this double edition of the Dolphin Dive. So we had the opportunity today to bring you both, and I'm happy that we got Tracey Roman, the head softball coach of LeMoyne, on the show once again, and we got to have the return of Dewey Roden from LeMoyne Dolphins baseball. We're going to take one quick step aside for our final fast break, and we'll round out today's show right after this from the Heritage Hill Studios. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we're hanging out with you inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill finding its home in the country and in the city, as you'll find Heritage Hill out in Pompey at the Brew House, and you'll find them at their new location, Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse. We will be there tomorrow night, and I am ecstatic on the opportunity to be there. So very much looking forward to being back at Heritage Hill North, 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse. We will make history tomorrow night as we will be featuring the CNS North Stars girls flag football team in their historic first season. This will be our first team conversation with them. And so we're going to make history on top of history at Heritage Hill North tomorrow night, Thursday, May 23rd at 6 p.m. We look forward to seeing you there. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, of course, comes to you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com/wakeupcalldt, Facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and, of course, on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connecting with the show, we thank you for being with us all around the world, and of course worldwide. You can also find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big time thanks to our partners that you can visit in Central and Upstate New York. We implore you to do so. Our studio partner, Heritage Hill Brewhouse in Pompey, Heritage Hill North in North Syracuse. Our longest standing partner, Carvel DeWitt. Today's Wednesday, and Wednesday is buy one, get one. So the DT Dolphin, we just spent some time with the Dolphins here on Wake Up Call as we do weekly. You can find the DT Dolphin, which is in connection to the LeMoyne College Dolphins, on site, on location at Carvel DeWitt DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York, 7 days a week. You can go and order the DT Dolphin, and on Wednesdays you get buy one, get one free of the DT Dolphin. So make sure you go out there today and get 2 for the price of 1. Mint chocolate chip, green for the LeMoyne College Dolphins, of course. Hot fudge, whipped cream, and a cherry. Green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Only at Carvel DeWitt. The Wildcat Sports Pub, where we were this Monday with West Genesee Softball. Check out the Wildcats on our YouTube channel and on Facebook as well, both /Wake Up Call DT. GG Cards and Breaks, we will be tomorrow night for the monthly trade night. Avicoli's, where you saw us in back-to-back shows within the last couple weeks here, celebrating with them, with having boys lacrosse and making history with their Liverpool girls flag football team. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, the only place I trust with Miss Lillian to take care of her, because Lorraine and Chad and the entire team are absolutely second to none. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, led by our fearless leader of Jimmer Sikowski. Bon Paz Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, with an all-new message coming to you very soon on Wake Up Call, so stay tuned for that. And I just got, for the first time ever, their deep-fried Oreos at the Battle of the Wings at the Inner Harbor. And just like everything else at Ma and Pa's, second to none. Pizza Man, where I was last night, making history with the Baldwinsville Bees girls flag football team. First season in existence. First interview that we've done at Pizza Man, and they won the first ever Section 3 Division I title. So their first year of existence, they're already champions, playing in regionals today. Big time shout out for them. Stay tuned for a special video coming up from this Heritage Hill Studios, where I get to show you what we're adding to the studios. Great Lakes Honda City, the only place I buy my vehicles, and Mother's Cupboard, the home of my exclusive sandwich, the Cuse McMother. You will find the Cuse McMother 7 days a week on 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York, from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. daily. And I am always, always happy to promote what I consider the best breakfast combination, which is the Cuse McMother. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. However you do it, it's so good. And thank you to Mother's Cupboard for all they do to be a staple of my hometown. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your LeMoyne College Dolphins. You'll find the Dolphins every Wednesday, as you did today, during Dolphin Time, and typically at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. First and third Wednesday with AD and DT, featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive dives into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You can find all of our content with LeMoyne by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe and hit the notification bell. The LeMoyne playlist is there for you on YouTube as well. And of course, you can find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab on wakeupcalldt.com. For more info on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find the Bobcat Buzz monthly, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration around the year, with their fantastic, unique stories from a fantastically unique place in Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, where if you still have eligibility left in the men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, baseball, and now esports world, you have the opportunity to be a student athlete despite age. You have the opportunity to continue a career, a new career path, or finish up your education at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. Their uniqueness makes it special on the courts and fields of life and in the classroom. I appreciate them so very much, and do want to give a shout out to the fact that they have 2 locations that are in great areas. James Street in Syracuse, that is right there just outside of the city. And you can also find them in Liverpool on right off of Route 57. You'll find them there across the street from Avicoli's, knowing that if you go to that campus, you got good eating all the time. Make sure that you check out the Bobcat Buzz by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Hit the notification bell. And of course, you can find the BSC Syracuse playlist. For more information on your Bobcats, you go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And of course, they're also on wakeupcalldt.com on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. You know it, folks, but I'll say it again. Go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find the Bearcats every Tuesday during Bearcat Time. That Bearcat Time is Tuesdays at 10 a.m. exclusive to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And every month we give you our specials, Moments with Marshall, featuring Gene Marshall, the athletics director of Binghamton University, and the Bearcat Break Room, where we speak with student athletes, coaches, and administration about their personal journeys in connection with Binghamton University and what their life as a Bearcat has truly meant to them living in the moment. You'll find all this content on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. Our Binghamton playlist is there on our YouTube channel. And you will also find the Bearcats in two places on wakeupcalldt.com on the homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, I want to thank my tremendous guests for coming back onto the show today in a Dolphin Dive duo, having Tracey Roman, the head softball coach at LeMoyne for the Dolphins, and Dewey Roden finishing up his time as a student athlete on the baseball team at LeMoyne. I hope you have a tremendous day. Thank you to Ma and Pa's for being the snack capital of the world. Head there today for all of your favorites, popcorn, kettle corn, and more, including all of their new freeze-dried candies, which are amazing. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. I will look forward to seeing you this Thursday at Heritage Hill North with CNS North Stars girls flag football. Tonight, I'm going to be celebrating another state title with CBA. Thank you to Casey Brown and the team for welcoming me in with open arms as always. I hope you all have a wonderful, blessed, and happy day. Thank you to the Beeville girls flag football team and Kathy Morris and Dan Vanetta for just being incredible. Thank you to the Delia family and Jimmy and everyone at Pizza Man. Shout out to Heather and the whole crew there for giving us another fantastic atmosphere event. Thank you to my niece, Emily, for coming out and supporting my show last night. I hope you all have a beautiful, beautiful day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Be good to each other. Enjoy the sunshine. And remember that rain or shine, squalls or beautiful weather, to always appreciate the fact when you get to wake up in the morning. Thank you, God, for my life. Thanks to all of you for being supportive. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And remember to always be who you are. Whether people like you or not is inconsequential. Be who you are. Live your heart's desire. And remember who made you.